morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 43. Happy Thanksgiving week. We are going to talk about the NFL Sunday and Monday Night Football. Talk about what's upcoming with the Thursday, 3 games on Thursday, 1 game on Friday before our next podcast, and talk about how we bet. Let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
Doing good. We had some pretty good games Sunday, and we had the Hardball Bowl on Monday night. So,
yeah, it was. I mean, it was a good Sunday action. We had a game, obviously that we said must watch go into OT. We had some extra little bit of fire into some games that we didn't expect to be close. So, but let's get going on our must watch games. Right off the bat, we talked about Vikings versus Bears. In this game, the Bears kept it simple for Caleb Williams. I will say that right off the bat. I think they kept it simple. The problem was they get behind, and it's hard to come back. And the Vikings had their run at the with their defense being their stronghold, and the offense could kind of just do what it needs to do. Well, that's not how it's going to go the rest of the season, Vikings. You have to be able to score the ball. One pass in regulation to Justin Jefferson will not win you many games, okay? You have to get the ball to your superstar. Now, on the other side, Jordan Addison had a great game. And the Aaron Jones finally got that running attack started going against a very poor Bears defense, or running attack, okay, running defense. But in this game, we're going to talk about the overtime, and I think there's one play that the rookie is going to learn eventually. But what did you think about this game before I get too far?
Yeah, I mean, I thought right off the bat, Aaron Jones fumbles the ball right at the end zone. This game could have been this game couldn't, if he doesn't fumble there, we're not talking overtime. I think they get out far enough. I don't think that the Bears could come back from that. But I tell you what, one thing about it was that he showed resilience. He got the team back in line. I mean, he got them to that point. He got him back. He started driving. That Vikings defense gave up a lot of yardage at the end. And were they playing that prevent defense? I don't know, but I just didn't like the way, they let him right back in the game. And you can't do that. I mean, Baltimore's been doing that lately, and they've kind of clamped down as well. If they're going to go any farther, they've got to play. Their defense has got to play better. But it just seemed like Darnold was not. He couldn't. Addison had a hell of a game, but they couldn't. They were not getting the ball to Jefferson. I don't know if they were double teaming him, triple teaming him, or what. But that, and then they got. Now we have this new rule that you have to tell them that you're going to do the onside kick. Everybody knows this is going to happen, and you didn't get the ball back. And they go down and kick that field goal. Santos had another blocked field goal. I don't know what you're going to do with this guy, but you can't keep doing that.
But he made the second one, so
to tie the game to go to overtime.
Yeah, so he missed. He gets the first one blocked, and now they fixed something during that game to get the second one made.
Yes, and then in overtime, Bears get the ball, and Williams takes a sack. Oh, that's just a killer. And then they come out of that, and then they get a delay penalty call. What are you guys doing here? You can't let teams like that play like that. And then the Vikings get the ball, and they go right down, and they score, and the guy kicks the field goal for the win. It just seems like they just can't. They don't know how to win yet as a young team.
And I will say that's the play that I'm talking about in this game. The whole regulation, we'll talk about whatever, right? Caleb Williams makes his plays. I mean, he made so many great plays. There was times where there was sacks. He gets out of it, throws a dunk down to the running back. There was plays that he made throughout this game that were great. There's one play that he needs to learn as a rookie that should never happen, and that was in overtime when he is sitting in the pocket and the D-line is not rushing. I mean, they're just not. They're not coming after him, and he gets out to the side, and then he tries to do a juke move and takes a sack. It's like, I understand in college football you get one possession, right? So the other team gets one possession, you get one possession. That's how it goes. But that sack can't happen. It cannot happen because, yes, it just threw him out of rhythm, but then they get the delay of game. And then now it's unreachable, and you throw a 15-yard, 10-yard little in route, and the Vikings are able to corral it to get the tackle. Caleb Williams, there's people in this NFL called Patrick Mahomes, okay? You don't give teams a chance. You're lucky because the Vikings even gave you a chance in this game because I don't think the Vikings are as good as what people are thinking they are. I don't think they're actually, and I'll say this, as a Vikings fan, I don't even know if they're the second best NFC North team. Like their
right.
their record shows this. And I, as a Vikings fan, there was 2020 when they went 11 and whatever and went to the playoffs and get beat by the Giants first round. I just think that's kind of what this year feels like. Unless we get this, Justin Jefferson has to be a focus. And one last thing I'll say about this too. If Sam Darnold ever gets another offsides on the defense and a free play, and he throws it to anyone but Justin Jefferson, I
Right.
would throat punch him to see him try to next back. That is so
Right.
stupid. So
Yep.
Jordan Addison obviously doesn't catch it, and it's 5 yards. We have the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
Throw it up to him. So,
Well, and the biggest deal too is your defense right now is struggling. You can't give up. I mean, you're up 24-10 in second half. You've got to put them away. You got to put this team away, and
Well,
you just didn't.
it's the prevent defense. It's
Yes, I know. They all play it.
And they deep dig dunk and keep getting down the field to the point where now they're in end zone. Now you gotta keep you can't bend. It's like the bend don't break.
Right.
Well, we freaking break in the red zone. So stop doing that.
I know.
Your normal defense.
Yep. Go back to what you're doing when you're blitzing. 50% of the time, 60% of the time.
But that
it was working.
that was something I brought up on the podcast. Was if you're gonna blitz, you better keep them in the pocket. And Caleb Williams exploited that so often. Stop blitzing. Stop blitzing because he gets outside. But the Vikings do take this win in overtime by 3 with the field goal. If you're a Bears fan, I think you still have optimism. Yes, these are 2 losses to the division the last 2 weeks, but Caleb Williams shows moments where it looks like, okay, we can get this going.
Yeah, I think they've got the quarterback.
Well, the only problem, though, is you might have a new coach by the end of the year, new offense coordinator.
And
might start over again in the beginning of the year. If you're a Vikings fan on the other side, I think it's a week-by-week kind of thing right now. I wouldn't get too high because this team looks so good sometimes where it looks like they can give the Lions a challenge for the NFC North.
Yeah.
But I don't see it this year.
Yeah, and Green Bay's starting to come on now too. So that's even
Yeah. Well, that takes us to our second must-watch game, Cardinals versus Seahawks. Seahawks played really well in this game, and Cardinals, it looked like they were going to come back but wasn't able to. What did you think about this game?
Yeah, that it seemed like coming off a bye, you would think the Cardinals would be in a better shape than they were. I don't think they were. And they looked sluggish. They looked like a team that was, they just looked like they were tired. They just didn't. Seattle's got a decent defense, but they held Kyler Murray down all game. They couldn't get nothing going. And, this was the first defensive touchdown that the Cardinals have given up, which, their defense is all right, in 23 drives. So, Murray gets a pick 6. It's now 13-6. Then they missed a PAT. Geno throws an interception. Now in the end zone, now you're thinking, here's the old Geno Smith, but they just couldn't take advantage of it. They didn't only kick field goals. This game wasn't, they did enough to win what Seattle did. And now they're, in the driver's seat as far as the NFC West by beating Arizona. So, I don't know what's going on with Arizona. They played so well. That offense was moving, clicking, and they look like on Sunday, like they'd had 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off. And they just looked out of sync.
Yeah, I think your problem in this game is not getting James Conner the ball enough. I get it. You guys are down. You were losing in this game. But when you're down 7, or because they were down 7-0, right? Or was it 3? Yeah. Down 7-0.
Well, they were down 7-3 because that's when JSN scored a touchdown and made it 7-3.
Yes. So you were up 3-0. Like, how does James Conner only have 7 rushing attacks through the whole game?
Yeah.
Through the whole game. You did too much with Kyler. And it was one of these things where, I got Trey McBride, 12 catches, 133 yards. Great day. But when you look at this game, it was like James Conner was not even on the field. Some of these other running backs, they had Trey Benson out there, DeMarcado playing. It was like, I talked about on that podcast. They're utilizing James Conner so well. And then this game, they just don't even put him in there. I don't know if it's any injury base. I didn't see anything about injuries. Right. But you got to get his ass in there because he is your workhorse. And then when it comes time to get Kyler Murray into like playing some of these big games, you need that workhorse.
Yeah.
So
And also too, there's some passes that Kyler was throwing and went, holy cow. What is, I mean, these floaters up in the air. And it's like, what are you doing? I mean, I guess he's I don't know, he tries to be cute, and sometimes it burned him in that pick six because he just threw that ball, just floated it up there, and the guy ran right to it, and he ran right in for in the end zone for a touchdown. It was like it was over. I mean, their offense could not get going whatsoever. They looked very, very pedestrian, very slow, they couldn't get nothing going. And Seattle's not that good at defense. I mean, they gave up what 30-some to the Rams a couple weeks ago. So I mean, or last week. So I mean, I don't know. They took two steps backwards. Yeah. I thought they could win this division. I think it's up in the air. I mean, because I can see. I mean, I don't know with the 49ers, but Seattle's now in play. The Rams, they lost. I mean, so I don't see them being. They don't have a good enough defense. So I think it's going to be between Seattle and Arizona. But you could have made two steps ahead of yourself and widen that gap up to Seattle if you would have beat them up there. And they got to play them in 2 weeks. So
yeah, I just still think the division's open because I'm not a believer in Seahawks, right?
Right.
I'm just disappointed in the Cardinals not playing the game that we thought they would in this game. But Seattle just did the same thing 3 weeks ago. Like, let's be all reality. Like, they shit the bed 3 weeks ago. See, since having DK back, you can obviously it's open up the offense, but like the running attack is still not there with Seattle. I mean, the fact that you have Kenneth Walker, 16 rushes, 41 yards, not good enough.
But he was catching the ball. He was catching the ball on the backfield quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, that did help. That bailed Geno out a lot in that game.
Well, that and the hurdle, that was a crazy good hurdle. But even Zach Charbonnet, he has 6 rushes for 22 yards. You had less than 100 rushing yards. Like, I just think once you get into playoff time, that has to be something that solidifies if you want to make it within the playoffs. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a good game. It was one of these ones where you're kind of just waiting for a team to straighten up and get a point in. Jackson Smith-Njigba, I think, is a stud. I love that I have him on fantasy. Some of these plays that he had a touchdown that got called back. So, but that takes us to our third must-watch game, which was on Monday night, Ravens versus Chargers. The Harbaugh brothers faced off. It looked like LA was going to take those from the beginning. Ravens started out a little sluggish, and then it just became a Ravens slugfest after that. Derrick Henry having another great game. Lamar Jackson having a great game. It's one of these things. Unfortunately, it seems like J.K. Dobbins might have some situation with that knee. He went out in the game, didn't come back in. I hope everything's good with him. But so I found this out that he's 3-0 now against his brother, the oldest one against the youngest one, right? John is against is that what it is? John Harbaugh and
Jim Harbaugh. Yeah. John and Jim.
Now he's 3-0 against him. When you look at this game, the thing with LA is like I don't know what it is, but it's like Justin Herbert has to do everything, but he's got weapons. But at the same time, Quentin Johnson had that drop pass yesterday.
He had 3 drops.
Well, and that one that was like wide open, and they were still in the game at that point. But what do you think of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was 10-0. I'm like, wow, this Chargers could because Jackson didn't look very good. He looked kind of in the first quarter, but in the second quarter, the Ravens outscored the Chargers 30-13 after being up 10-0. Yikes! I mean that's just Jackson. I mean that one run he had into the end zone where he sidesteps and then just walks in. It's like, that didn't look good. And then Derrick Henry got going. He had, like you said, 147 yards rushing. They were kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. I think if he could get a number 1 wide receiver that can get separation, I think that team's good. But they've got to shore up that defense. That defense has given up a lot of points. Last week they gave up over 30 to maybe it was 30 to Cincinnati at home. They've got to get that defense, and I think they will. I think the Chargers can't play from. I mean, they got ahead. But then once they got behind, they were done. The game was pretty much over. But I think once he gets his guys there, I think the Chargers are going to be a team to reckon with in the AFC West. I really do.
I know. I'm going to shake my head on one thing you just said. He needs a number one wide receiver. They had two last year.
Yeah, well,
Williams and Keenan Allen, and they couldn't
right.
do it. So it's tough to be like he needs.
Yeah, but that was a different coach, different regime compared to Harbaugh.
But isn't he the one that got rid of him?
Yeah, well, he won his. I think it had to be something to do with salary, too, as well. I think. Well, Keenan Allen signed that big contract with. I mean, not a big contract, but a decent contract with them. Williams, I think he just gets hurt too much, so they don't want. I think he wanted his players there, and I think what Harbaugh's going to do, he's gonna lean on the rushing.
Yeah,
that's his MO.
Well, and I think he went and I think it was like between three players and Khalil Mack, and he kept Khalil Mack. I think that I remember now you say that. Yes, it's just hard for me to hear because I do think Quentin Johnson can be one. He's light years ahead of what he was last year.
Right.
At the same time, it's like I agree the running attack, but if you go look at these running backs, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, they played for the Ravens last year. They were literally on the Ravens last year.
Right.
And the offense coordinator from the Ravens. It's a duplicate of the Ravens. The problem that I have with this is Justin Herbert it's going to be a quarterback that we're just going to be like, he was good, but he will never be great unless they can start winning some serious games.
Right.
Like you watch him play, you're like, damn, he's good. And then you're like, but I forget about all other 15 games that are not on national spotlight because they're just not flashy and they're not big plays. So I did think, that last touchdown that made it 30-23 kind of made it look like it was closer.
Yeah, that was garbage time. You could just tell that was, and they tried to, that was a garbage time. It was garbage time by that time.
Yeah.
Because when I don't know who it was that scored the touchdown that made it. Oh, Justin Hill scored the touchdown and made it a 2-score game. Yeah. Right then, the game was over. It was over. It was just a matter. They were just playing it out.
Well, in the rest of the NFL, we had other games on Sunday. Lions beat the Colts 24-6. Dolphins beat the Patriots 34-15. Buccaneers beat the Giants 30-7. The Cowboys upset the Commanders 34-26. The Chiefs come down to the end to beat the Panthers 30-27. The Titans beat the Texans 32-27. Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19. Packers beat the 49ers 38-10. And the Rams beat the Eagles beat the Rams 37-20. What did you think about this weekend of football?
I think the kind of surprise game was the Cowboys beating the Commanders. That Turpin touchdown where he ran back.
Yeah.
That looked like a Madden play where he just stopped, spinned, and then he ran. It's just like, and Washington had nothing to do. Washington couldn't do anything about it. And then he runs. So then they get the ball back, and then I don't know what Dallas was thinking about defense, but leaving McLaurin wide open down the middle or down the sideline. He scores a touchdown. Okay. So now you're within one. All you got to do is kick that extra point. Oh, wide left.
Yeah.
Now they've got to do an onside kick. They do the onside kick, and the kid, normally you've been told don't score a touchdown and get the ball back. What's he do? He picks up the ball and runs it right in. And so now it's back. And, on the sideline, they were just smiling, laughing, and giving them, shakes at the end. But it was just like, oh my God. So then they get another chance at it, and they didn't. They couldn't do anything. I was just like, and that was the most points too. 41 points was the most points those two teams have scored in a quarter, and I think in the history of their playing each other. So I thought that was kind of a weird stat that's the most points they've ever scored. Tennessee upset in Houston. The Fairbairn misses that chip shot field goal to tie it. They don't get it, and then they do get the ball back, and then Stroud runs out of the end zone. Another Dan Orlovsky play kind of deal. Didn't know where he was at.
Well, and I think look at Cowboys and Commanders. I definitely just feel like it was like get the game going. Commanders get the point. And they just waited for the game to come to them instead of them taking a hold of the game. And obviously, when you give up the 7 points on that return, remind me of Nathan Visser or something with a V for the Bears back in the day when he returned a field goal kick.
Right.
And he goes to one side and then jumps and then flips and goes the opposite way. Obviously now that kind of makes you start thinking maybe that's how you start doing the kickoffs. Let them come to you.
Right. Yeah, let them call come and then go back, go past them. Yeah.
Yeah. When you were saying the Texans and Titans, the Texans, get your head out of your asses. Just get your head out of your asses. I mean, this is what's happening. That team was so about that coach and how he's a player's coach and stuff like that. Well, I think it's on the opposite side now. I think that player coach shit is not going to get to him. CJ Stroud on the sideline looked like shit. Did he play like shit? Yes. But you're the leader of the team. Get your ass up and get in that game just pissed me off because Houston is so much of a better team than what they put on that field that day.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The 49ers had more penalties than first downs in the first half. Yeah. What a difference a quarterback makes. Purdy and Allen. Yes. So I mean that they got just trounced against Green Bay. They got trounced. I mean that game wasn't even close. And then the Lions are 10-1 for the first time since 34 with the win against the Colts. 10-1. I mean, I think they're for real. I mean, I think the Super Bowl goes through Detroit in the NFC. I really do. I think they're tough.
Yeah, I think they're a solid team. I guess the Colts game kind of, yes, the 24-6, whatever, right? Like I think that was the final. I guess I was just waiting for it to go. And maybe because I had my bets on the over on this one, but it was just one of these things where I was like, the Colts are not that good. Like they're not that good. This should have been the 40 to something kind of score. And there was a lot of penalties on the Lions. There was a lot of holdings, a lot of coming back. Jared Goff kind of showed a little bit of that, a little bit of you're waiting for the seeing the ghost kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's still open. I think the Eagles are tough. So when we say the Lions have to go, Super goes to the Lions, don't forget about those Eagles yet. And that's what I'm saying, Vikings fan. They're the third team. You got to come. You got to come to play with these guys because if not, it's going to be those two in the NFC Championship for sure.
Yeah, and you talk about the Eagles-Rams game. What about a game with Saquon Barkley? 255 yards, all-purpose. Wow.
And what?
He had over 300. He had 255 just rushing and 46 yards receiving. He had over 300. And the bad deal is, we're going to be able to talk to about him be the MVP, but it's going to be a quarterback because they just touched the ball too much. But, I mean, he's got 1,300 yards of rushing right now. He's on the cusp of trying to break Dickerson's record. So I don't know if he could do that. That's going to take a lot. That's another 800 yards in 8 games? That's going to be tough.
Well, and I will say this too is, I don't know if he has a game like that again. He takes 3 games with 1 game. So the thing with the Saquon thing is this week you get rid of Daniel Jones, or you bench him, and then you release him. And then they talked about now there's rumors that the GM and coach are going to get fired at the end of the year. Well, Saquon goes off for 579,000 yards. And it's just
right.
I saw on Pat McAfee they were talking about today. I don't know if they'll ever do a Hard Knocks front office again because that was so hard. I mean, just looking at how this year's gone and seeing what this GM thought was going to happen and how he just had no effing clue what was actually really going to happen.
Right.
But how'd you do on your bets this week?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I had the Tampa Bay and the Giants. I had Tampa Bay laying a 5.5. That covered. That was a 30-7 game. Chiefs Panthers. They made me sweat out the Chiefs. I took the Panthers given 11, and they finally Strader kicked the field goal at the end to win 30-27. So that was a cover. And then the Eagles Rams. That was I was laying 3 points. They won 37-20. Another 3-0. 4th week in a row, everybody. 4 weeks in a row. 12-0. Woo!
Yeah, that is huge. 12-0 in the past.
The only one that made me sweat was the Chiefs and Panthers. They got up by about almost, I think, at 14 at one time, and I went, uh-oh. But they haven't cut. I mean, like the stat I said, they haven't beat nobody but more than 11. Only one team this year. So.
Well, and they let them back in that game for sure.
Yeah.
I actually went 1-3 this week. So I said I hated the point spreads in this week. I didn't like that one. Honestly, if I wasn't throwing 3 bets out there, I don't even know if I would have really betted a lot of these odds. But I took the Bucks with the -6 or 5.5 as well. They covered, obviously, like you said. I took the Broncos and Raiders under 41.5. That actually hit over that at like 3 minutes to go left in the 4th. So I was kind of sweating that one out. I was thinking maybe both these teams will shut the F up and stop playing offense. Colts and Lions. Yeah, over 50.5. Bullshit. Not even one team got half. And that's what I'm saying is like when I watched that game, like the Colts went down and kicked a field goal. Okay. And then the Lions go down and they score a touchdown. Okay, it's 10 points. You're thinking math. Okay, here we go. The Colts go down and then they go for it and don't get it. So then that's no points, no freaking points. The Lions come back and score. That game was frustrating. 1-3. I don't know. I thought this week the point spreads, but what I read a stat is that we are seeing the favorites win more now than the dogs. So
before, because the beginning of the year, the dogs were covering.
Yes.
And winning outright in some games.
So it might be something to keep an eye out for this upcoming week because we have not just one game on Thursday, not just two. We have 3 games on Thursday as it is Thanksgiving week. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. We have Bears versus Lions at 11:30, a classic game. At 3:30, after you have your turkey, take a nap because you're not going to want to watch the Giants versus the Cowboys. At 7:20, a great game. Dolphins versus Packers. Let's start with the Bears and Lions. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Bears, it's going to be a short week. So, you've had 2 bad weeks of close games. What Bear team are we going to get? I think the Lions are going to – it's prime – I mean, it's not really prime time at night, but it's the standalone game. I can see the Lions putting a 40 or 50 burger on the Bears. I really can. I think the Bears are going to be not – I mean, that short week is going to kill them.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be bear down. I think it's going to be bend over. I think the Lions are going to run right through them in this game. I just think I wish Aiden Hutchinson was playing, you know what I mean? Because Caleb last side, that's their only hope in this week is that they can exploit that defense that I thought the Colts were going to do this past weekend with a running quarterback with Anthony Richardson, and they didn't. So we'll see if the Lions defense can handle that again. But yeah, no, this is gonna be great to just kind of eat your food and just watch the
you got the game in the background. Yes, as you're eating. Right.
You can take a bite for every time the Lions score because it's gonna be pretty hot. All right, so that moves us to the 3:30 game because you take that turkey, you fall asleep. There's some science bullshit of what makes you fall asleep. The Giants versus Cowboys, DeVito versus Rush. Duh. So what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be. Can the Cowboys keep the momentum going with Rush? Can they keep it going? Right now, the Giants are in disarray. I mean, like you talked before, the GM, the coach could be gone. They may not. If you look at their schedule, they may not win another game this year. So you got to start thinking if they don't win another game this year, you might have to blow it up. So I mean that's not good. I mean and now you're going to have to go after and get a quarterback, which they may be the number 2 pick. So you may have to go with Shedeur Sanders. So, this is. I mean, they're just not a very good team right now.
Well, I will say we talk about betting, and I am putting one of my bets on this game for this weekend because there is a limited number of games on Sunday, and I'm going to put one on because I don't want us to have the same. I am taking the Cowboys 3.5 here. I think the Cowboys will beat up on them. Now, just because they beat the Commanders, everyone, just relax, okay?
Yeah, right.
Their defense and special teams scored a lot of that points for them, okay? But the Giants are bad.
Yeah.
Bad. I mean, everyone thought DeVito. Now, I will tell you right now, I am not putting that money down if they decide to go with Drew Lock. Because I don't know what the hell they're doing with this DeVito. The DeVito, get him off the field. Get him off the field. It's bad. So if they go with Drew Lock, I'm not putting that money down. But I'm saying right now, I'm taking Cowboys 3.5 here. I think Rush is kind of getting his feet under him a little bit. And he's got CeeDee Lamb. I mean, just get the ball to CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
That takes us to our night game. Dolphins versus Packers. Lambeau, Thanksgiving, gonna be cold. Dolphins hate cold. I love this game. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, here's the deal. Tua just doesn't play good in less than 40-degree weather. I think it's supposed to be the low, supposed to be 28 by game time. Yeah, this isn't. I mean, they played really well against the Patriots last week, but this is a totally different team. Yeah. I mean, Green Bay right now is hitting their stride. I mean, they are playing good ball at home, a short week. I just don't see. I just don't see it happening with Tua. I mean, he's just not a cold weather, and I think their offense is just too predictable. So,
See, I actually am going to go the opposite on the predictable way. I have this Jonnu Smith or whatever, and he's been huge for Dolphins recently because everyone's covering Jayden Waddle and everyone's covering Tyreek. And you can only do so much with these wide receivers that, like, if you cover them, what about the tight end? What about the running back? That's what made A-Chain or whatever huge, and that's what made Jeff Wilson, and that's what all these other people are naming made him huge. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I think in this game, the Miami has to come in thinking this is a playoff game. Because if you make it to the playoffs, you are going to be on the road, and it is going to be called Buffalo or Kansas City or any of these other games that you have to go to a team. This is a playoff game. Unfortunately, you're just doing it on a short week, a holiday week. I don't think they win this game, but this has to show, like, this has to be a wake-up call. Like, this has to be how they wake up. I actually like this one, too. I'm not going to bet on it, but I like the 3.5. I think Green Bay's on a run right now. I think Josh started going against it. If you can run the ball on the 49ers defense, you can run the ball on the Miami's defense. So 3.5 here as well. I'm not laying the money on this one. I am laying my money on the Dallas, unless, and I'm going to tell you right now, might be a game time decision. I'm switching if they go to Drew Lock because I think you got to go Drew Lock and the Giants at 3 o'clock on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And then on Friday, we have Raiders versus Chiefs. That Black Friday, it's like a 2 p.m. Amazon Prime game. I think a lot of people are going to unfortunately be traveling or forgetting about it. I don't think it's a must-watch game, but the point spread on this game is 12.5 in Kansas City.
What did we talk about before?
I think maybe look on the other side of that one and look at. Unfortunately, that means you're going with what's his name, Minshew.
Well, now there's talk that you can't go with Minshew. Minshew broke his collarbone Sunday.
Yes.
So they're talking Aiden O'Connell may be back for this game. His finger will be healed. So now they're talking that he could be back. Yeah, because Desmond Ritter is Denver was just eating him alive. I mean, they got to drive the ball down the field, but that last 10 seconds when they were about ready to go in, that Denver defense just bent their ears back and went right after him.
Yeah, I will say that I think that's why it's at 12.5 is because they don't even know who their shitty quarterback's going to be on the field because it's either shit or shit.
Yeah, so, right.
I do, but I don't like the stat that they haven't won over by 10. I mean, that's
hard. But then that's going to come. I mean, that eventually they're going to. I mean, they've only beaten one team by more than 11. I could see this being more than 11 because there's some animosity between Kansas City and Mahomes against that. When they played a few weeks ago, they were talking. Las Vegas was chirping in July, and he kind of put it on them. And I think he could put it on again. I think they could do that. And they're the standalone game too.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to ask this one. You're 12-0 in the past 4 weeks. I do not want to take a bet from you, right? But I give you the odds: Detroit -10, Dallas 3.5, Green Bay 3.5, giving, and Kansas City 12.5. What game would you pick? But it doesn't have to be one of your picks.
I think you got to go with Green Bay in the 3.5. I think you got to go with Green Bay in 3.5.
And you know what?
Until Tua can prove to you that he can win in cold weather games, you got to bet against him. You
know what? You persuaded me. Going 12-0. I need a little advice. I got a house. I got to pay for it. Okay. I will take. That is going to be one of my bets. I'm taking that 3.5.
Okay.
After I read the.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right. If you wouldn't have, I was probably going to.
Oh.
But go ahead. You got it. Go ahead, take it.
I don't want you without research and all that to take a bet. You're 12-0. Keep that run going. I'll take the Green Bay in 3.5. I really would still like Dallas at 3.5 with this game, but I'll take one so that we have more bets to talk about on Sunday. Which on Saturday we'll be having our next college football episode. Tonight we are recording on Tuesday. There will be the college playoffs. So you'll kind of see what all shakes out. Does an ACC team get in now because of an SEC loss, big losses? Does Big Ten take a beating now because the Indiana loss? Is it? So we'll kind of see what the whole shakeout of this. We will talk about that on Saturday, but I want to warn you, on Saturday when we first start the podcast, we will have to recap all that happened on Thursday and Friday games so that we come back with talking college football. So if you're a college football fan, kind of fast forward a little bit. We'll get to you there, but we do have to talk NFL. On Sunday, we kind of do what we do where we talk college football and NFL. But we want to thank everyone. Have a great Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, please drive safe. But we want to thank all our fans. And if you like what we do, subscribe, comment. And if you take any of our betting advice, don't take mine, take his. But if you do take his advice, he's just a goon. I'm just a goon talking college football.
Eventually, one last thing. Eventually, it's going to stop.
Yeah.
All good records stop at the end.
But roll that dice, baby. Roll that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we want to thank everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you on Saturday.